It's just everything is a scam. Everything is a grift with these people. It's just shocking.
Everything's a scam. Okay, so you talked about Karen Bass, Spencer Pratt. What happened there? I know that Spencer was your neighbor in the Palisades.
You know what happened there? Because we don't have a Vote America Act, because the states that want to misbehave, like Democrat, supermajority Democrat California, just simply don't care who you are if you vote. They make a point of it. When Spencer Pratt was now one of the two in California, two people got to move on to the election. One was Karen Bass. That was fixed, I'm sure. But let's say it wasn't even. Spencer Pratt was the other by a huge margin. And then we got to wait for the votes to come in. And they always come in the middle of the night. And, it was like 24,000 votes in a statistical improbability, from what I understand. 24,000 votes, not one for Spencer Pratt. It's a mathematical possibility, but if you know anything about statistics, it's a statistical improbability, if indeed that happened. And, they just don't care. Does anybody literally still believe that Uncle Joe, Joseph Biden got 81 million votes? Millions more than Obama, who was one of the most popular people when he was elected. It's inconceivable. And yet they do it with glee. They literally leave the reservoir open in the Palisades with the brush all back. We're another fire hazard. Meanwhile, the fire department guys, and men and women are extraordinary in California. They risk their lives, all these fires. Every time these fires happen, their lives are at risk. But the people running it, the lady who was appointed by the woman fire chief who was appointed, for LA, on her biography, though, she literally said, my main concern will be diversity, equity, and conclusion in the makeup of this fire department. And you say, and water, is that of any interest to you? Or fire hydrants or hoses and any of that stuff work? Do you care? I mean, we had a real neighborhood in the Palisades. Yes. That so many people there either were born in those houses. They're all built in the 1960s, and by the Lockman brothers, and they're all very similar. These little beautiful mid-century houses with the most spectacular views of what makes California beautiful. And when you move in, we did everything in our house to make it look exactly like it was. We're the second owners. And our neighbors all come by, oh, thank God that you're not building a mausoleum. I said, no, I want to be part of the neighborhood. We all became friends immediately. Andrew, Stephanie, Havisa, next, all of our friends. And we, in fact, my neighbor and I, and Sarah, saved the life of our 94-year-old neighbor who, in a confusion in the middle of all of it, was left there, and he had severe Alzheimer's, and his son was on the East Coast, and it was a terrible situation, but we were able to save his life. It was close to being one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen, but we all managed to do it. And we all did it because we were friends. I happened to have all my neighbors' numbers, phone numbers. Hey, man, your dad, I think he's still at the house, and they said they were coming back from him. They didn't, and blah, blah, all this happened. I loved living in the Palisades. And now people are buying 3 and 4 lots at a time against the CC&Rs of the neighborhood, but nobody's stopping them. And they're going to build big box mausoleums, and they're going to ruin it, and it's going to be gone forever. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking. And, our house, the insurance company, and we're in a lawsuit, so I can't say anything. Although I will say positively, they're working with us, the state insurance. They weren't, but they are now once we file the suit. I mean, they were, but not really. And they're saying basically you got to rebuild the whole house because of smoke damage. At first they said we don't cover smoke. She literally said that to one of the people. We don't cover smoke damage. I said, well, in a catastrophic fire that burns down 16,000 houses and murders 31 people through negligence, there's often smoke. But the old joke about flood insurance, it covers everything unless there's water involved. But I'll tell you, the insurance companies in America, they're not your good friends. It's a bunch of bullshit.
You're right about Gavin Newsom making it impossible for people to do insurance, though, claims in California and running them out of the state. And Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, you'd say that they're criminally negligent. It sounds like Gavin Newsom might actually get his day in court. They got a federal investigation into him and his wife. And his wife was very close with Harvey Weinstein, and she's run some very, very shady nonprofits. I don't know if you know anything about that, but yeah.
Well, you know this. You know that there was a concert, like they often do in these catastrophic situations. Bravo to the people who were involved in Hollywood and in Nashville, whatever. They came together and raised over $100 million. Not one penny of that. I don't know anybody in the Palisades seen a single penny. But right away, the first partner, Harvey's side piece there, she got like whatever, so many millions of dollars to start running, the grift. I'm sorry, did I say grift? The repatriation or remediation of the neighborhood. And of course, nobody got anything. It was another scam, and it's a shame because the people who were out there performing and doing that really were putting their best foot forward and really trying to help, but they didn't get, they didn't get a fair shake either.
Yes. So, but have you been following this Gavin Newsom federal investigation? And do you know anything about what his wife was up to, or what are the rumors in California? Gavin seems quite spooked about this. He's doing all these very dark, threatening videos. He seems pretty pissed off. And then we find out that this all was opened up under Joe Biden. So it was like Kamala Harris running Joe Biden. How dirty is California politics, man?
Well, and the whistleblower was wearing a wire evidently for a couple of years. But here's the question that you have to ask yourself: what will ever be done about it with this Republican Congress? And the answer is, as usual, nothing. Nothing. They won't do anything. Trump, people have their opinions about Trump, but I say, there's one thing about Trump. The things that he says he's going to do, he really, really, really tries to do. He doesn't just talk about it and send an angry letter and all that. We're going to close the border. It's an open wound in this country. It's letting in this cancer of Muslim invaders, and I'm not talking about Muslim people per se. I'm talking about these military-age guys that come walking across the border, and they don't have our best interests at heart. I can tell you that.